Okay, I think we're right at 2 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. Can someone type in the box and let me know if you can hear my voice just fine? Just for a quick check. Excellent. Thank you, guys. So welcome to our first webinar for 2018. Along the way, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the question box or in the chat box, and we're going to have a point where we can stop and we will take questions and try to address anything that's come up along the way. But to get us started, let's introduce ourselves and our topic today. So we're going to be talking about competency-based education and power in the numbers. And so to get us started, I'm Dr. Gibson, and I am the Associate Provost for Institutional Effectiveness and have been serving as the Executive Director for Institute of Competency-Based Education here at A&M Commerce over the last year.
Hi, everyone. My name is Carlos Rivers. I'm the Operations Research Analyst for the Institute of Competency-Based Education at A&M Commerce. My background is in business management, business analytics, and I've been in this position for the past 3 years now.
So we're so glad to have you all here with us. I'm going to give you a little bit of background about A&M Commerce and what we're doing here in relation to competency-based education. So we are a public institution, a research to intensive level, SACS, a regionally accredited institution. We're doctoral granting. We have about 13,000 students enrolled, 60-40 mix of undergrad and grad. We are second in the A&M system on size, a very old institution, 125 years of rich history, great pride and tradition, and very much combined with very new, innovative, and modern approaches to both learning and teaching. And so we've actually are the first in the state of Texas to launch a competency-based education mode of delivery. And so our very first one is the part of the TAB initiative across the state of Texas, and it's the Bachelor's of Applied Arts and Sciences and Organizational Leadership. And just to give you a quick overview, it is a competency-based program, and those competencies are mapped to semester credit hour. It is delivered 100% online. It's a hybrid model that is based on a subscription payment, so $750 per term, and the terms are set up in 7-week periods, 7 weeks on, 1 week down, back in for 7 weeks. Students typically enroll in 2 courses for 3 semester credit hours in each 7-week term, but they're able to complete as many of those competencies as they can during that period. So it's all they can consume and demonstrate competency in that period of time. Going back to when we first started meeting and working on this was about 2011, and we did meet with faculty and an advisory panel, a large group of people to map all this out. It is fully defined by faculty, and it's managed by faculty in an academic department. We fully launched in 2014, and we'll get into some numbers and show you some our growth over that time and as we move into the dashboards. And so let me also give you a little bit of background about where we've come from. So I took over the area of institutional effectiveness and research and started working with the competencies back in about 2012. And at that time, we really relied on raw student reports in spreadsheet formats. And so I spent much of my time poring over Excel files and very old way of dealing with data. So let me just make that really clear that, if any of you are in that situation where you feel like you have not modernized and automated, and that you're feeling a little behind the times on the way that data is presented, know that we were there 3 years ago, and that is not a programmatic issue. That was an institutional issue. So over that time, we had just millions of ad hoc reports that were pouring into the department, and it was a very manually intensive, labor intensive process. And so at that time, we went about an automation initiative across the campus, and we really built out automated procedures. And that's where Carlos and I started working on how we would apply this into the Institute for Competency-Based Education. So we actually had a system that we were using. So we leveraged that software system. We did not buy anything new. We were able to develop very quickly. We were able to personalize it. We were able to partner between the institutional effectiveness and research offices with the Institute. So it was a really good bang for our buck, if you will, because it helped the institution and it also helped the efforts of the program and the Institute all at the same time. It really made good use of our time and very limited resources. What we learned early on was that we were using less than 3% of the full functionality of the existing software that we had at our campus. So from there, Carlos will jump in and start talking to you about how we went about developing these dashboards.
So before we even get to the dashboard, I wanted to give you just what type of users we have. So internal users would be people like the department head, the program manager, program staff, and also research staff like the IER office and myself use these real-time indicators as requests come in. When we first rolled out the dashboard, we showed it to the department head first, and he was the one that requested for us to give that security level to open it up to his staff and manager so they could use it for their daily internal operations. If you look at the data requests that were coming in, you know, they weren't as different as the ones coming in for our traditional programs. The difference was that we had to adapt all our reports, our dashboard, to that unique 7-week parameter that the TAB program has. So what type of data requests were coming in? Student enrollment data, demographic information such as age, gender, Pell status, veteran status, performance metrics such as retention rates, grade distributions, and semester credit hour completion rate, and of course, efficiency metrics such as time to completion and cost to completion. A perfect example of an external stakeholder that requested data about the program is the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. And in fact, the coordinating board actually created a data collection initiative for TAB sites. The statewide measures of effectiveness for the TAB expansion grant program include similar things that were requested by our internal users, such as enrollment, the program cost, GPA, credit accrual rate, completion rates, and slowly but surely we're looking to gain insights on those first year earnings for our students. Now, the goal for the coordinating board for these TAB expansion grants is to have 10 TAB programs throughout the state, serving an estimated 21,000 students in the first 5 years of operations. And the idea here is that the entire degree will cost less than $15,000 to whoever enrolls. And we're going to use these statewide measures to hopefully prove or show that TAB graduates can or will perform as well or better than those students in comparable traditional programs, institutions, and fields. Now, this presentation is not about the metrics themselves. We could spend the whole hour discussing metrics, but I did want to point you guys to 2 resources. This first one is when I started writing about CBE metrics when we initially started creating the metrics for our CBE program. So that's one resource. But most recently, the second resource we have is the one we put together with our partners at the American Institutes for Research. Kelly Parson and I put together a CBE student outcomes metrics framework. So if you're in those initial stages of creating the types of metrics you're going to collect to these programs, I would encourage you to visit both these sites. Okay, so Dr. Gibson talked a little bit about how we got started. So I wanted to give you guys an example before we looked at the dashboard. So we had automated reports, right? It was just I'm sure you're used to seeing that report come in your email from now and then of just student raw data. There were no real set of KPIs, and it was static. And what I mean by that is that we could only run it for a specific term. There was no historical overview, and for us, it was very intensive manual work. So if you look at what was coming in, you know, we could get the age, the gender distribution from the spreadsheet, but we had to essentially do it every single term for our students in order to start to create that historical overview that we needed about the program. So looking at those requests that came in, we decided, why don't we try to aggregate the information and show it in a sort of table format. So we created a CBE, what we call a CBE data sheet, and these were our automated metrics. So some of you might have seen the spreadsheet before, but again, these were static reports just for certain terms. There was no real data exploration and no historical overview of our data. But at least, if I show you the example here, you can see that for term fall 2017, you can see the first 7-week term and the second 7-week term by the classification distribution of our students. And luckily, in partnership with IER, we automated everything else: ethnicity, gender, veteran status, marital status, age. We even went about of giving the program what was their retention rate from term to term, so they can use it in their operations, and even information about the graduates. But again, this was still in spreadsheet format. Okay, so you heard Dr. Gibson, we went from using just 3% of a tool that we already had internally, and we've gone from these spreadsheets that I showed you here to a full-blown CBE dashboard. And what's great about the dashboard is that we have real-time key performance indicators about our program. If a new term rolls in, the dashboard updates automatically in real time. We always have fresh data. We created it with historical overview in mind. So we're seeing everything that's going on from term 1 to the latest term. There's data exploration. Users can come in here and look at different terms of enrollment. Absolutely no manual work. If a user requires a change in the dashboard, we can do that in the back end, but again, it would be an automated process, and it's user friendly. No more spreadsheets. The user can come into their web focus portal and just log into the dashboard for more information. So without further ado, let's go and do the demo of the dashboard. So there's different tabs up here, as you can see. The first one is just a simple welcome screen, giving the user more information about the institute, but also additional resources that they can use about CBE. And if they click here, it essentially takes them to a resource. So here we have the Competency-Based Education Network, one of our strongest partners. So just a simple welcome screen with information. The next tab shows our historical overview of the program. So here you have unduplicate enrollment. So we've enrolled 1,066 students since program inception. So if a new student walks in today, this widget would change automatically. You have the latest term enrollment. So we've enrolled, as of in spring, tab term 1, 367 students. But what's great about this is that you can see the latest term, but if you double click on the head count, you can see the enrollment all the way from 7 students in our first tab term to 367 out of our latest tab term. So you can see the growth of the program, and we're estimating hopefully 400 tab terms 400 students by the next term in fall. If you double click here, we go back to the same screen, and you can see also our total graduates. We've graduated 316 students since program inception. And this historical overview, I'm showing you by enrollment, but this is what you called an accordion. If you go down here, I also created the degrees conferred. So if I click here, the dashboard will change and show you the historical overview of how many students have graduated throughout the program. Next, we have demographics. So you saw all those internal user requests that were coming in. So we decided to go build it out. Here you have the demographics of all students that have enrolled in the program. So in gender, it's pretty even with our traditional mix, a little bit more females than males. But when you look at the classification of students, you can see that a minority of students that enrolled are freshmen. 86% already come with some type of credit from prior institutions. Age groups is another indicator, I'm going to get closer on this one so you guys can see it closer. Only 9% of students are in that 24 and under bucket. The majority are what we would call post-traditional learners or adult learners. Ethnicity, when we look at ethnicity, race, this was one that surprised us when we put this together, because the program itself, we thought was going to bring in a lot of minority students because of that flat rate tuition, right? $750. But historically, more white students have enrolled in the program, although I will say that Hispanic and African-American students have grown over time. And we also give them the Pell status, veteran status, and then what I call the top 10 analysis. So it's showing you the top 10 of a specific variable. And let's make this bigger so you can see the screen. Here you have the top 10 cities that brought in the largest enrollment headcount for the program. And no surprise here, most of the ones in the top 10 are from our immediate service area. But I will point out that we have cities that are farther away, such as San Antonio, Austin, and Houston. So imagine what this can do for the program staff, or the director, even for our admissions and enrollment department, knowing our top feeder cities and what they can plan for the future of the program. Just as we have cities, we also have the prior institution that students are coming from. When this program first started, there was a huge push to bring in students that had high level of credits from our own institution that did not finish. And that push puts A&M Commerce in the #1 spot. But when you look at the other institutions, they're pretty much from our immediate service area, such as Paris Junior College and Dallas County Community College. Now, our top 10 high schools was a true surprise for us because our top enrollment is Texas homeschooled. Okay, so do these programs have a certain appeal to homeschool students? It appears so. And we also have Texas GED students coming in. The other ones are from our immediate service area. And just with this screen right here, can be used for admissions and enrollment purposes to try to improve student leads into the program. Okay, the next screen we have is about semester credit hours. Just everything that we're trying to do is going to be historical in nature. So here you have attempted credit hours versus completed from the first one all the way to our latest one. And look at that. We said it was real time, right? Here you have in the newest TAP term in spring, there's students that have already completed 9 semester credit hours, so roughly 3 courses that they've already completed. So not just the amounts, but we are also giving the user the completion rates throughout historical. So you can see that roughly students complete around 85% of any credit they attempt. Okay. We also have as Dr. Gibson said, the average student takes roughly 6 courses, and here you can see it in a historical nature, roughly 2 courses per term. And then the grade distribution. Now, the program doesn't have C's or D's, so all we have is A, B, F, and then incompletes. And if we start discussing about incompletes, we could have a whole another webinar. Okay, performance. In performance, what I try to do here is give you a sense of the retention rates, the attrition rates, and the graduation rates of the program for a specific cohort of students. So here, we're looking at the cohort that entered in 2015-80, so fall 2015, and that was 87 students. And what we're looking at is what happened to those students in just 1 year, so fall 2016. So what we're seeing, if we look at the overall performance rates, you can see that 48% of the students came back in 1 year. We lost 30% of students, but in just that year, 22% of students that enrolled had already graduated in a year's time. And we're doing that same analysis across different indicators. So you can see here by gender. So if we take a closer look at the gender, it seems that in a year's time, male students, 37% had graduated versus only 9% in female. So is this something that the program can take into consideration as they plan initiatives to improve graduation rates for female students? You know, it might be. We can also see the performance rates by ethnicity. So if we look at this one, it seems that African American students have the highest attrition rate in compared to all other ethnicities, 40% attrition rate, and also the lowest graduation rate in 1 year's time. So again, you know, is this an indicator that more emphasis has to be put for our African American students? These are questions that the staff could ask with this dashboard. Then we also have performance by age groups. So here you have 24 and under, 33% had graduated, 25 to 34, 37% had graduated in just a year. So it seems that as older students get, they were having a bit more, they needed more time to complete. If you look at 55 and over, no one had graduated in just 1 year from that age group, but they were retained at a very high rate at 83%. So again, some students are accelerating, right? We talk about acceleration in these programs, but then other students are decelerating, okay? What we're gonna do now, I showed you a year's time. Now let's see what happened as of the latest term. So our latest term is 2018-20, which is spring 2018. Let's see what's happened with this same 87 students in 2 years' time. So we plug in 2018 and we run it for our ORGL, our CBE students, and all these numbers will change to 2 years. Okay, so let's look at what happened from fall 2015 to spring 2018. So the same group of students, the same 87 students, 13 are still enrolled with us, 32% are no longer with us, but look at this, 55% of students have already graduated from the program. When we compared the gender performance, females have caught up, but it seems males still perform have performed at a faster pace than females. Again, when looking at ethnicity, African American students are graduating, 47% had graduated, but it's still at a lower rate than other ethnicities compared to other ethnicities. So maybe that's something that the program staff needs to look into. What can we do for our African American population? By age, look at that. Now, older students seem to have picked up, and now in 2 years' time have graduated 50%, 52%, but still younger students are accelerating, are graduating at it seems at a much faster pace than our older students enrolled in the program. Okay. The next window shows the program efficiency. And the program efficiency is data related to graduates of the program, okay? So if we look here, you can see that the average terms to degree for our 316 graduates has historically been 7 TAP terms. So if there's 6 TAP terms running throughout the year, that means they're graduating in a year and 1 more term. The average semester completion rate, semester credit hour completion rate, is 91% for graduates, and the average cost to degree historically has been under $6,000. And these are what we call widget. As more graduates complete their degree, this information updates automatically. In this accordion here, we show the graduates transfer completion rate versus the institutional completion rate. And as you can see in each term, the completion rate has been much higher after they enrolled at A&M Commerce in the TAP program. We also show you a historical overview of how many TAP terms it has taken them to complete their degree. And when the program was small in nature, it took them 6 terms to complete. But as the program grows and students that have taken longer to graduate, that has gone up to 8 TAP terms as we move into the future. And consequently, the cost to degree, here you can see that it's gone up over time. Before it used to be under $5,000, and now as we're graduating students that have taken longer, it's coming up to almost $6,000, almost $7,000, and that's why we have that average cost of degree of under $6,000. Then, because we knew the coordinating board wanted to somehow compare to other programs, this one we're comparing our CBE program in organizational leadership versus our traditional applied arts and sciences degree, that is a completer focused degree also, but in a traditional fashion. And we're comparing it across different graphs. So here you see the enrollment. So for our CBE program, enrollment has gone up over time, while our applied arts and sciences degree has gone down over time. So this asks a lot of questions about the applied arts and sciences program. What's happening there? Is the CBE program cannibalizing this degree, or is there more marketing that needs to be done for this degree? Those are questions that the program faculty and staff need to ask. When we look at retention and graduation rates comparison between both programs, the fall to spring retention for both is pretty high. The fall to fall retention, 62 versus 64%. So the traditional did a little bit better. But when you look at that fall to fall 1-year graduation rate, the CBE degree had already graduated 22% of their students, compared to only 5% of the traditional group. So roughly an acceleration of 17% to degree completion for the CBE program. When we look at degrees conferred for both programs, again, the CBE group has been going up quite a bit, and it seems that the traditional program has been steady, but is slowly starting to go down. We're also comparing them across GPA over time, and they're comparable GPAs for both programs. We're comparing them across earned semester credit hours, and again, it's comparable both across programs. And we're also comparing them the semester credit hour completion rate for both programs. And like the other indicators, it has been comparable throughout time since we started our CBE program. But I can talk about all this wonderful data all day, but I want you to hear from the students behind the data and what they have to say about their experience in the program.
It has been my miracle, I feel like, because it fits into what my life is now, which is a full-time employee, a wife, a mother, and now a student. It's taking a much shorter time.
The $750 was perfect. I said, wow, nobody's doing that. It's stuff I've been doing for a very long time.
The state's first public university to offer a competency-based bachelor's.
Okay. So for anyone that's using the dashboard, we do try to remember why we're doing what we're doing, and we try to bring it back to the students and how we're transforming student lives. So they can actually click here and it will take them to a video of our graduates. And Miranda down here, she's actually a banker here in Commerce, and we talk about her experience in the program and how it has completely transformed her life and her career. And then for those faculty and staff that that need reporting, not just the dashboards, I've also created another screen where there's numerous reports that they can run about the program, and we're updating these constantly over time. And now I'm going to hand it back to Shonda.
Okay, thanks, Carlos. I know that that's a lot of information in a very short amount of time, but the main thing that we want to demonstrate is that, first of all, we are looking at data in a very timely fashion. We have very quick access, a very fast turnaround. Anybody in that program is able to very, very quick, with just a click, literally get into there and see and monitor what's going on with the program. So our whole goal is to support everything to do with the 60x30 Texas strategic plan. And so, looking at that age group, we know that we're meeting that mark. Looking at completion rates, looking at that time to degree and that reduced student debt, it tells us that this model has shown to be effective in serving this adult student population that's swirling around out there with loads of hours and no degree. And so that was our goal, and we're very, very excited to, for the first time, by the way, demonstrate this data dashboard in a visual format that helps in giving the program directors and folks that are working in that area evidence and information about their actual student success and understanding who their students are. And so we really didn't get too much into some of the impacts of this data, but we'll talk about that here in another slide or two. So make sure that you're putting questions in the question area or any discussion points that you would like. We've got a few, and here in just a second, I've got some answers that I've already run through. And so let me just jump to those really quickly. So first of all, thank you, Jill, for joining us. Great to see one of our fellow Lions here. Hopefully you guys are making good progress, working on the same sort of initiatives. So glad to see you here. And Emma, I'm always glad to have you with us. And yes, we should have probably clarified a little better that all of the data that you just saw is purely reflecting the organizational leadership students. And the comparative data that is there, we use the BAAS traditional program data to compare. And that gives us a really good anchor group for us to look at a non-traditional student group that, I will tell you, 15, 20 years ago, BAAS fully online was a very modern, innovative approach to serving adult learners. Today, we're morphing that, and looking at competency-based education, doing it in a reduced time frame. That's the sort of thing that helps to move into a little bit more modern approach. And so we're wanting to really keep up with what's happening with those students along the way. And so that's the two groups that we're comparing. To answer your questions, Daniel, Matthew, I see a couple others that are asking questions about the BI product that we're using. It's an IBI product, and it's called Web Focus. And it's actually a product, like I said, we have already been using it for years here as a reporting tool. Yeah, it was more of an ad hoc tool that we were using, just the tip of the iceberg. We were not fully utilizing the capabilities at all. And they're a really good company that's been great to us about helping us to fully utilize the product as it could be. And I will tell you that we've even expanded on that. We're moving more into predictive analytics by an additional package with IBI. So I don't want to sound like a salesperson.
Yeah, but
so
and Jane, I see here what reporting product that you use. So it is Web Focus. So I initially created the reports in a software called App Studio, and once I created those reports, or the charts in this case, right? The charts, sorry. Then I use they have what's called a dashboard portal, and then I just start dragging and dropping all my charts until a full data dashboard was built.
So the point that I really want to make here is that IBI and Web Focus are great products, but we already had that access to that software, and we did not really have to we didn't have to spend $10,000 to buy a new product. We used what we had, and we fully, maximized its use.
Yeah.
And that was really important here, because I'm sure everybody is suffering from the same resource poorness across the state and the nation. It's not as if we had the luxury to go spend, hundreds of thousands of dollars on that.
You might already have a tool on campus that does some of this type of things.
Yeah, so that would be my recommendation, is first look at what we already have and utilize it to its full potential. And if this sounds like something that's interesting to you and you want more information, we would be glad to get on a phone call and, and talk to you about it. Now, there's a couple of questions that popped up about sharing the dashboards, and the name of the platform is IBI, and it's Web Focus. It is an internal facing dashboard. It is not external facing to the public. And that is a system, like A&M system limitation at this point in time. We're not able to build out dashboards and put them public facing at this time. And it's like I said, it's a system compliance issue for security. We have the same dashboards built out internally for us to manage and assess all of our programs on campus. This is, not just solely one that's used for just this program. So it is an informative process that we've used for visual demonstration of data, and for all of our programs to glean information from.
And James, I just wanted to add, yes, this webinar will be available for you to review. So once the recording is updated in the GoToWebinar, I'll send it out to all attendees.
Okay, and so all right, so that we got a bunch of questions popping up. So on the level of time and effort, this is probably going to be a whole nother webinar, but let me tell you that another innovative approach that we used was we went to an untapped source of knowledge and skill on our campus, which is our great students. And we built out an internship program in our Institutional Effectiveness and Research office. And so for several semesters, we have been bringing them in and working on projects like this. So that is a whole nother topic that we can get into, about how we manage that. But that's how we got a lot of the work done. I will say that it probably took an entire semester, a long semester of a couple of people with intense efforts around managing and making it happen. So it's not going to happen overnight, but I will say that it was something that was bearable. It took a couple of people really thinking on it for a semester, and then another semester of actually getting it done. And within 2 months of tackling the product itself, we were able to get it done. But of course, it takes some time to map it all out.
Exactly. Blake Bishop.
Blake, you had a question about coaches and advisors. There's a success coach that does intake with the students, but we have not disaggregated our faculty role. Our faculty are in full control of teaching and coaching, getting the students through the actual courses. And so I hope that answers that question. On the dashboard tracking student progress through the competencies, this is not what this dashboard's built for. There will be a visual dashboard built into our LMS system. So let me lead off into another topic here, which is why we're doing this type of data and making it something that every single person in that program can see all the time. And that is so that they have quick access and they can quickly and effectively see what the impact of their decisions are. So let's just say that there's a shift in a decision to award an X grade as like an incomplete for a course versus an F grade. There are significant financial aid implications to doing that one way or the other. And it puts the student on a different trajectory for completion. So the program has to make decisions about when they're going to make a shift like that. And when they do, we've got to be able to monitor the progress that students are making. And so that specific, that is something that we saw a change in the performance as soon as that program made that update. We also see changes when the program has made updates to staff. So when the program director changed, some of the performance measures were changing.
Yes.
We also saw changes as the program was taken from one department and moved to another department for leadership oversight. We see differences when the course offerings change. We see a difference when there's updates to curriculum, or when a capstone changes, or when an e-portfolio is introduced or changed or assessed in a different way. So what we're trying to do is give the program quick and easy access to be able to consistently measure changes in their program, the decisions that are made, and how that's impacting student performance. And so we quickly went over some of the highlighted information through the visuals, but just to let you know, we could talk for another 3 hours about the insights that have been gleaned from this. All right, so why don't you address that one?
So Matthew, question about are we pulling directly from a data warehouse or directly from the student information system? So we're pulling directly from the student information system, and ours is Banner. There are discussions about a potential data warehouse, but we're not there yet. We're just pulling directly from our SIS.
Okay, and then Joyce, you're talking about student recruitment, which is a good question. It goes back to a question that I have in my list. Emma, you had asked, do we have any international students? And we do not. This is a 100% online program, and it's typically not conducive to the requirements that international students have for face-to-face time. And I'll also add, in the spirit of the discussion around recruitment, that this was very much tied to the TAB programs, which was designed to address the issues for the state of Texas. And so the state of Texas residents were the ones that we first wanted to tackle as far as recruiting. I would tell you that 99% of the recruitment for this program is word of mouth from the students to potential students, and what we have available on our website, and then what we've done as far as putting the word out through the Institute. But there's been really very little formal marketing of the program to date. There was also a question about the LMS, and I will tell you that we're in the midst of a shift right now. Ours was built out in eCollege, which is being dissolved as we speak, and we're moving to D2L. And let me just say that, you know, we don't want to get too locked. Again, use what you have and maximize its fullest potential. That's my motto every day when we're talking about these innovative programs. Okay, so
Joyce has a good question. Are students who drop out or who do not complete the program interviewed to determine why they are not completing the program? Good question, Joyce. We are currently building a non-returner student survey, and we're going to start collecting that information and hopefully dig on those insights on why students didn't come back to the specific program. So we're working towards that.
Well, and they are in a informal process of discussion, you know, where an advisor does call those students and talk to them, and then those issues are noted, and you know, we're keeping up with it that way. But the program does it in a more get on the phone and call the students and let's find out what's going on. We're trying to document it in an actual survey that replicates what we do with all of our non-returning students across the campus for all of our programs. And we do also track a graduation exit survey. So we have been collecting from students all along as they graduate on a wide range of information. And one of those is around marketable skills. And so then that also maps back to the state's 60 by 30 plan of what, you know, they'd like to see.
Kelvin, you asked here about opportunity to have a common metrics and dashboard. It would be great for the dashboard to be externally accessible too. So this one is not, it's internal, but the coordinating board does have that data collection initiative, and we will be involved with that. So as programs start, more TAP sites are implemented, we will be involved in the analysis of the data, and there might be a potential to build something like this in the future. But for right now, we're just discussing data collection.
And you guys can keep watching. We're going to be publishing around these data points. We'll be talking more at future conferences. We've got quite a bit of upcoming meetings over the next year that we plan to be presenting at with more and more information. So
Joyce has a good question. Are there individuals available to talk to community groups about the program?
About community groups?
Yeah.
Like we have advisors and recruiters that are out and about that are talking about it.
So Joyce,
so if you needed us, we can help you out.
Yeah, we can definitely help with that.
Joyce, I will tell you that when we are doing intake with our students, we do quite an extensive review in all of our online programs, where the students are being asked a lot of questions around their readiness for using technology, and we've not seen that is an issue. It doesn't seem that that's a stopgap to getting them into the programs. In our LMS, we do an intro to using the technology before they ever get started. So we do not see that most students that are leaving the competency-based format, they typically are not leaving the format due to technology reasons or any kind of real serious issues with the program. Most of the time, what we hear from students is, I got myself into something, I just didn't anticipate the quick pace of it, the self-directed, study. It's a flexible schedule to the point that I can't manage my time like that yet. And that's why, we are happy to still have the BAAS program, which is a normal standard 16-week term. And we even have other completion programs that we can help to guide the student into. So I will tell you that one thing that we do hear from our students is that the younger students don't worry so much about reviewing every ounce of material that's in the courses. If they do a post-assessment and they score an 80, they're confident and they will move on. Our older students want to take time and go through every ounce of the learning materials. They like to read all the books, watch all the videos, participate in every discussion. So it's a more, there's more relaxation around moving through the materials, where we don't see that with the younger students.
Everyone's at their flexible pace.
Yeah. And I think that's why the program is successful, is it allows for that.
Okay. I think that was the last question we had.
I think that is. And if anybody end up with any follow-up questions after our time is up, feel free to shoot us an email. We'll be glad to continue the discussion. So we do want to wrap up by encouraging everybody to really think about the data that you have and how you can use it for insight and for measuring and constantly assessing the decisions that are made in the programs and the success of the students. That's why we're all here. What we're doing is we are here to take care of a student who in the past really has been underserved. And so another thing that we want to highly encourage, especially for Texas institutions, hopefully we have lots of you on here today, is that the Texas Higher Education Foundation has released in January an expansion to the TAB opportunities. So there's an additional $1 million in programs that are program award money that is sitting there waiting for you to apply for it. Jen did tell us that it is on a rolling award. Oh, there she is. Hello, Jen. And rolling award process, and you can submit a proposal. We put the link on here, and if you have any questions, I'm sure Jim will be glad to help you out with those. But we do highly recommend that you apply. So do you want to jump in here?
Sure. Next up, webinar number 2, it is our partners from the American Institute for Research, measuring student success in CBE programs, and they're going to discuss progression metrics in CBE. Those of you who are starting to create or think about CBE metrics, I would highly encourage you to join in this webinar. And just if you want to keep in touch with us, here are our emails, just so you can stay in touch. If you have further questions after the webinar, don't hesitate to contact us. You can also join us on Twitter, on Facebook, or visit our website at tmuc.edu/ICBE. And for those of you that are not on the competency listserv, the Fast Track to Success conference is going to be held in April, and we would highly encourage you to attend that conference.
And we actually got an email today that the submission deadline has been extended, I think, through the 10th. And so if you have an idea for a proposal for Fast Track, know that has been extended so that you can still submit for those.
Yeah.
And I would highly encourage everybody to come to the Fast Track conference, especially I'm seeing some more questions come through. And so, like Kelvin, one question that you have is about the TAB grants, and I'll give you a teaser since we're running out of time, that we're actually going to have, we've proposed a panel for Fast Track where we'll have the TAB recipients there to talk about what they've done, how they've expanded, what the early insights are looking like, and what the future looks like on that. So
last year we had 150 participants. And I believe, talking to Amardeep and our steering committee, we're hoping for 300 participants this year. So, a lot of in the weeds. We're going to talk about I'm going to present the dashboard. There's going to be things on curriculum, CB, even the LMS. We'll be talking about everything at the Fast Track to Success. So if you guys can make it, we would highly encourage you to join in.
Anything else? You want to wrap it up? Yeah. Okay, well, I think that our time is running out. And if anybody has seriously any questions, feel free to jump in with an email to us. We'll be glad to take a phone call. If you have any suggestions, recommendations, this is our first time to do the dashboard demo, and so thank you for bearing with us. I hope that it went well and you learned a lot. We've learned a lot by doing it.
Thank you for joining us.
Awesome. Okay.